You know, it's really kind of interesting in a way. You're denied access to one field because of what you're presenting is considered not socially acceptable. So you turn to another medium, hoping that maybe you'll find acceptance there, only to find out down the road that it's not that way either. So by no means am I ever gonna stop presenting content out here on the farm, just random silliness, because that's just how I operate. I will always do my YouTube videos just so you guys can keep up with what's going on. And while a lot of my channel mostly relates to my memoir as far as farming content, there were actually 2 books that I couldn't get published. And the first book is a fictional work that I wrote many years ago. Actually, I wrote it for my daughter. And the book was largely inspired by her and the questions she was asking. And I wrote it, and I set it aside, and I set it aside for a long time. And then one day I came across it on my computer, and I just sat crying for like 10 minutes straight, and I said, why have I not done anything with this? The book wasn't written for my sake. It wasn't written for the enjoyment of millions of people. It was actually written to show the military that people do care, and that they do make a difference, and that they're valued. And as an ex-military wife, Air Force, I saw this firsthand. But it's a really tender subject with me, so sorry. So those of you that are Marines and that served and were posting comments about your service on my video about YouTube censorship, I really felt that you just needed to hear this book and know that, you know, even though our voices are being silenced, that we are trying. So here's my reading of the book that I wrote for you, called Soldier's Child. "Mommy, where's Daddy?" I asked, curled up in her lap. My mom pulled me closer and spoke as we sat. "He's just at work, sweetie," as she would often say. "It's not really much different than any other working type day." "But where?" I asked, this time wanting to know more. She replied, "He's in a land far away, bravely fighting the war." I slid from her lap with a scowl on my face. "But why?" I asked angrily. "Why such a faraway place?" Mommy's gentle arm scooped me up as I hid my face and cried. She soothingly rubbed my back, gave me a kiss, and replied, "People needed his help, so he answered their call, keeping bad people at bay while helping others stand strong." I didn't feel any better, though, as out the window I stared. I really missed my daddy. My daddy wasn't here. Daddy couldn't kiss my boo-boos or chase me through the park. No silly bedtime kisses to keep the monsters out of the dark. He couldn't toss me high into the air as I shrieked out with delight. He wasn't here to catch the fireflies when we stayed up late at night. One day he sent us a letter and told us about the usual, about his long, tiring days and how his feelings were mutual. But towards the end, a surprise, something exciting had taken place in a tiny village he often visited, several miles from his military base. He wrote about a small girl he'd met, who was not much older than me. She had dark hair and dark eyes, and she had needed his help indeed. He'd found her crying in the marketplace, giant tears streaming from her eyes. She couldn't find her daddy, as much as she had tried and tried. Mean men had come through their town, carrying off people left and right. They tried to take her too, but her daddy chased them into the night. My daddy cried as well, as he wiped her tears away and scooped her into his arms. This was no ordinary day. He gently rocked her in his arms as he hummed to her my favorite tunes. He held her close, he held her tight, and he told her that Daddy would be back soon. He gave her a kiss and a pat on the head and told her a story from one of my books that he'd read. Her crying soon stopped, and she began to smile. She was so happy that my daddy had just stayed for a while. My mommy finished the letter as tears streamed down my cheeks. I had begun to realize how selfish I'd been for weeks. It's okay to miss Daddy, but now I really understand that maybe others need my daddy too. Kids who also miss their dads. And I don't think publishers will publish this based on the fact that it does deal with a sensitive subject. While it does use actual pictures that have been turned more into an illustration sort of context, it does have guns in it. And, that's a big no-no. How are we going to get around that? But this was not necessarily written for school children. It was written more for military kids. And there are military kid books out there, but I felt this one was a little bit more significant than the ones that were out there. At the time, actually, when I wrote this, there were no military kid books. Nothing. That's why I wrote it. But, you know how it goes. So this is a book primarily written for military kids, but also our service members to know that they do make a difference, even in little ways. And sometimes it's the little things that really make the biggest impact down the road. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And I don't currently know that there's any way to self-publish a picture book. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and put it in the comments down below. I'd rather not self-publish this one. I'd rather have it picked up by a military agency that could get this in the hands of all the kids that would need it, or the soldiers that would need it. I did preview it with our local military bases here. They really liked it, but there's only so far you can go. If you guys have suggestions, put them down below, and be sure to thank a service member, men or women. And again, I get no money for this. I'm just giving this to you guys because I love you, and I want to thank the servicemen and women for their service. Take care, guys.